ayagala tufonda
abalabi baffe ku Yofa Music tubaniriza akawungezi k'olwaleero kansubire muri bulungi sande batambulidde bulungi kubanga olunaku lulabika luggwaako mwebale okubeera nga mulaba Yofa Music mwebale okuba nga mutugoberera mwebale okuba nga ebintu byaffe mubifolowinga ne mubilayikinga abasobola okutuwabulamu wano wewali tweyanze olwaleero amannya gange nze Tom okusinza wano ku mutala Copenhagen Denmark naleero abagenyi bange babiri abaterogamba ladies first nja kutandika n'omukyala yeyanjule ababulire waali then tugge eri omwami onayamba ne omujozi gwa Uganda Cranes naye yeyanjule mama tutandike.
Hello, my name is Anna. I'm so glad to be here and hope you're glad to hear from us all. Thank you.
Tugenda kuba tuli mu kasavu kanyamaluzo mu Uganda naye tujja tambula Sabo Moses. Omutinze ogundiyo naye
Yes, Moses Mugisha. My name is right here in Oslo, Norway. I'm glad to be here sharing my views. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, looks like all my people are going to use English, and I think we are comfortable. Today we want to talk about social media and its usage in Uganda. I hope the sound is very clear. People, I don't know if there's someone who is doing something. The sound is a little bit coming back to me. But anyway, I would say social media and its usage. And our question is, why is there a lot of bitterness, vulgarity, intolerance, and all these kinds of things on social media, especially in our country, Uganda? I'll give you a brief background. Facebook in Uganda around 2007, 2008. That is when it started in Uganda. And then as years went by, 2012, 2013, it was getting to its peak, where almost everyone was on Facebook. We had, and there were very many factors that contributed to it. Right now, Facebook, they say there's around 2.65 million users in Uganda. And there are many factors that contributed to it. One, phones became cheap, whereby people had chance of buying phones and almost all kinds of phones which they could use to surf. Before that, people would go to internet cafes. It was expensive. Secondly, data also became subsidized, whereby you could have 500 shillings and you are able to buy internet data and be on Facebook. Thirdly, we had, during that time, I think over those years, we've had a lot of many Ugandans going abroad from Uganda. People have gone to the US, people have gone to Europe, people have gone to Asia, people have gone to UAE, and all those countries. And we know that most of those countries, internet is, I don't want to call it cheap like people say, but it is an essential in those countries. So somehow the numbers of Ugandans using Facebook increased drastically. Right now, we have so many bloggers, we have so many channels of communication. But during that same time, we've seen a lot of bitterness, we've seen a lot of intolerance. I'll start with Harriet. How do you see social media usage in Uganda with our topic of its bitterness, intolerance, and all those things?
Thank you so much. I think that in Uganda, it's about many things. Why people are so bitter and vulgar and easily irritated while on social media. First is that it's kind of a learned behavior from our own culture. When a parent, we will start just within the family. When a parent is really mad, maybe she didn't get enough money from work, maybe she was laid off from work, or she didn't get enough harvest from her farms. Normally, she'll put this anger to the innocent people who are the innocent children in her home. And she'll call them names. She will say really bad names, or he will say bad names. The husband says bad names to the wife says bad names to the kids. And it's kind of emotional abuse. So as we grow up, we kind of accept it. It's a learned behavior that we've taken up. We kind of accept it as part of us. I'll give an example. I was at one wedding in Uganda, maybe 15 years ago. And on this wedding, the bride was a very slender, beautiful girl. Her young sister was really beautiful, but chubby. And the MC, who is the master of ceremony of this very high class wedding, it was really high class, turned all the comedy on the chubby sister. He gave comments like, oh, you're just like a tractor. You need to work on this tractor. Maybe this tractor is heavier than a bull, you know? But that's where the anger comes from. So to him, it's fun. He's making people laugh. But then he doesn't know that how about this person I've put in the limelight for wrong reasons? How do they feel? So then we equate this to social media. Someone will put, for example, a celebrity will put a picture of herself or himself with their family or just a known celebrity. Let's take an example of Bobby Wine and his family. And then somebody will comment negatively about his children, really negatively. But why? Because to this person commenting, he has learned that that's the way to make fun. That's the way to get likes. That's the way to make, to become popular as a commenter. So they will comment really negative, not thinking about the people they're commenting about, but just for likes, just for fun, and also just because they have learned that's the way we go, that's the way we do it. Also, comment, again, still on comment, in Uganda, if you go to comment store or any comment, what's comment in Uganda? Talking negative about tribes, you know? And then people have paid to come laugh at other tribes. You pay to these comment places. You're laughing, or Abasoga, they're like this, or Abatoro, they're like this, or Abaganda, they're like this. But is that comedy? That's cheap popularity, it's cheap comedy. And so when you pay to go to this, you're also in a way advocating, or you are indirectly saying it's okay as long as I get a good laugh. I don't care at what expense, you know? Because when you go to commit in Kampala, they will talk about, oh, those Basoga women, they're like this. They're horrible, they're this, oh, Northern Uganda women, Acholi women, they're like this. But is that comment? No, that's cheap popularity. So it's kind of like we have been trained this negativity, this being easily irritated, that to you to become popular, you have to say something negative about someone to feel bad. But also back to the first example I gave about parenting, that parents are saying negative things to their children, they are hurting the esteem. And because somebody has already low self-esteem, it's really hard. So they will say negative things. For example, I've never met both of you. I would say something negative to put me up, to raise me up, feel like, oh yeah, I say this, I say that. I put him down, and then to make myself feel good about myself. But that's wrong. That's totally wrong. I think that this irritability on writing vulgar language on social media or online bullying, it's ignorance. It's a learned culture that we need to get rid of, and also it's
okay,
kind of
Harriet, before we go there, before we go, we have to get rid of it and all that. I'll get back to you. Let me go to Moses. Moses, start to get here. When did we see it coming? We didn't care. When did we start?
Yes, thank you, Tom. I just actually I loved the comments Harriet just made.
Yeah.
Actually, many of them I agree. Though somewhere slightly I will deviate a bit. But to your question, that when did we start going off track?
Yes.
In my opinion, I believe there hasn't been much of going off track. What we see on social media, like Harriet had just put it, is an echo of what is burning down in our societies. So if you just recall in our childhood days, back home we used to have large families, extended families, and as kids we used to make fun of each other, just like we see in schools, bullying, and as certain kids tend to find fun in making others irritated. So yeah, they can try to push them beyond the limits. And exactly, this is more of a scaled up kind of conduct on social media. That when we were kids, it was just fun, making fun of one another, and then parents would grip in. And right now on social media, when we see cyberbullying, in the political atmosphere, we see people on different political sides using all sorts of language to drive a point home. So this has not only started, but it has been there. But natural as humans, when we're given chance to expose what we can, regardless of what, there is always that misuse. So I always tend to crack a joke that in some societies, it was too early to adapt to social media. Either there should have been some preparation to prepare people to get used to that, because there is this excitement that comes in. Things like the struggle to be on top, even when you're not deserving, because getting on top is a process you work for. But the struggle to be in the limelight, the struggle to take the other one down to go up, has brought this kind of cyberbullying. And then this vulgar language, like you see, like she has mentioned, like maybe Bobby Wine and the celebrities, posts a picture with interest probably to share with friends, because we have social media friends. But again, the challenge is we have virtual friends. So those you call friends are not actually friends, though there may be a portion of friends. So I think it is a problem that has been there, but apparently it is only a platform created fertile enough for us to speak out what we've been boiling inside us. So you allow me also mention that I personally believe that what we see on social media is an echo of moral degradation, an echo of intolerance, as you've mentioned, that has been there in society. But social media has hyped it up to give people a chance to speak out. You will agree with me that it is easier to express your opinion, regardless of its side, positive or negative, behind camera or on phone, than engaging someone physically.
Yeah.
So there are masses of cowards on social media that find it comfortable to use any sort of language, which wasn't there 10, 15 years back. So I think it is the same copy and paste what we saw on social media. There hasn't been something much that has changed, but it's only a platform created for people to speak. And also, human beings are blamers in nature. So give people a chance to speak, to give their views about Tom. This is when you will know that the comments, the positive compliments you've been getting have only been just a cover-up. So I will just hold it here for now, but I really totally agree that there has been a pickup from what we saw on social media, but in a nutshell, this has been there way back.
Okay. Thank you very much. Harriet, I'll ask you this question, and it is some people will say people are angry in their hearts. People are bitter. One, maybe towards their leaders that they can't hold accountable to. They can't hold accountable for things they do. Then that bitterness, and they can't make them do like what they want them to do. I'll give you an example. It goes to school, he studies for maybe 17, 20 years, and he fails to get a job, but he studied. Then he will go to Dubai, and maybe he becomes, he'll go to any country, maybe he becomes an askari somewhere. And he is angry for all those years that he went to school. And that is the best he can be. And then he sees his leaders, they are not being accountable. And what is he going to do next? Just be on social media and abuse them and be intolerant to them. People say maybe that is why it is escalating. Do you agree to that, or you think something else?
Could you phrase it, please?
Do you agree that maybe because people can't hold their leaders accountable and they're angry at them, so they resort to being vulgar and abusing them on social media?
I think it's frustration. You know, we try a lot. Humans try a lot. We are a trying race. We try different things, and sometimes if we feel not so good about ourselves, we pass on blame. We apportion blame to somebody else. Let me take an example of, say, for example, old people. If you've ever worked with old people, the ones who are really in bad shape, who are like they can't help themselves, they're the ones who have more anger. So someone who has, maybe they have no job, maybe they have written 1 million applications and no one has called them up for an interview. Those kind of people have so much anger, and they will put this anger to anyone. They really don't have to know you. They can just put it out there to you. It's like, it kind of makes them feel better about themselves, which is wrong also, because that's not how to feel better about yourself, by putting up down others. So I would think that when people are frustrated with life, with work, with family, they put all these frustrations and anger to somebody else, and the internet helps this because they have this feeling that no one knows me. It's just computer, or it's just Facebook, or it's just WhatsApp group. No one knows me really, so I can write whatever I want. Many of them could have fake names, fake profile pictures, but at the end of the day, it is you who's written it. Even if you think no one knows you, the computer never forgets. Internet never forgets. Yeah, it will still be you. It's your IP address. It's your location. If somebody really is interested in finding out, they can find out who you are.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, Harriet. Moses, I'll ask you this question, and it says, I'll give an example. You watch the Premier League, and you know, people have been racially abused on social media, the footballers. And I think a month or two back, uh, in London, a 12-year-old boy was arrested for racially abusing one of the Premier League players. And that will lead me to my question that says, do you think our laws are weak, or we don't have any laws that can curb this social media bullying and intolerance and being vulgar going on? As you answer that, I also in the same question, we have people who have been labeled social media bullies, who have been using all kinds of words that we can't even you can't even air out, that you can't even like let your ears hear the words, that all of a sudden start working for the government. And they are taken by the government, yet that's how they came up. And then you start seeing them on TV, almost on every TV station, almost every single day. Do you think that also is helping? Yes, Moses.
Thank you, Tom. In the first place, I'll make it clear that not at any one point and not with any degree will I ever justify kind of word use, the kind of anger people use on social media, regardless of the dissatisfaction, the desperation one may have. There is no justification for that kind of language. If I just go back to your question of if the laws are tight enough to curb this kind of conduct on social media, I would think that it varies from country to country.
Yeah.
Because we all know that in China and in the UAE, we don't often actually reach those people on WhatsApp as easily as we do in other countries.
Yeah.
So it's just a clear indication that there is a law that controls or regulates social media. Of course, I don't mean to say that their freedom of speech is controlled, but at least the question of the laws, I think it varies from country to country. But in some countries, it is quite relaxed. We've seen cases back home in Uganda where the Ministry of Information is trying to regulate here and there. Of course, sometimes they cross the line when people's freedoms are encroached on, but at least they try their best. But as regards laws, it is something that is just mushrooming every other day. I'm certainly sure that as time goes by, laws will be more tightened and tightened to curb this, because those using this code of expression against the others, I'm certainly sure if we only switched shoes, they wouldn't embrace it. So it is just a session that you're the one chasing, and tomorrow you may be the one chased. So at any point, everyone, those abusing or those are being abused, should agree that laws curbing this should be put in place, in as much as they may not be in place right now. And then you pointed on a case where people are justifying whatever is discomforting to them in leadership, in service delivery, and posing their expressions on social media. This I'll make clear that like we all know, companies, organizations, and certain enterprises have people they call their PROs. Not because other people can't speak. And I think we've just looked, go back to the newest political party in Uganda. We saw that Joel Senyonyi was appointed as PRO, let me put it that way, of people power. Not because Bobi Wine couldn't speak, not because some other huge figures in people power couldn't speak, but at least we know that there is a mode of speech that should be used in public to express dissatisfaction or to convey a message in the interest of publicity. So, but what is on social media right now? That people take advantage of situations. That yes, it is known today or yesterday that dissatisfactions have been there in populations or societies. Over 100 years, we've heard our grannies tell about the Kabaka stuff and things like that. So this business of taking advantage of social media to claim that you feel you're locked up, it is the only channel to communicate what you feel. It is not that justifiable. But in my opinion, I believe that dissatisfactions can be curbed in a way that is quite harmonious, because two wrongs never make one right. So I also would think that instead of people hailing all those kind of abuses on social media, how would it be if an approach that is more harmonious was used? And maybe someone out there would still challenge that how can it be used, like when in politics, when the government is pressing and closing every other channel that you want to use to convey your message? And still my question would be that away from politics, even people use vulgar language on celebrities, vulgar language in their small groups, implying that it is not about the separation from the government. It is about individuals and maybe upbringing, like somewhere Harriet pointed it out. So I hold it there, asserting that there should be no justification for use of such language on social media.
Yes, Harriet. Harriet, what do you think we should do as a country to curb this vice that is going on, that is going to eat up our society, that later on it might be out of control in a few years or a few months from now? What do you think we should do?
I think that not as a country, but as we individuals, because it starts here. It starts with you, it starts with me before it goes everywhere else. So I would ask people, before you comment on social media, whatever you're writing, whatever the forum is, whatever the topic is it worthy? Whatever you are doing, is it really worthy? The words you're going to use, do they add any benefit to you? Do they help someone out there, or are they putting someone down? Are you proud of what you're writing on social media? I think that if we ask ourselves this before we comment, then there will be less vulgarity, there will be less obscenity, less negativity, less bullying online. It will be much less. Before you write, just remember, it's just not a keyboard. It's people going to read it. It's going to be read by someone, and that someone is a person, is a human being. That person has emotions, has feelings, gets hurt, gets annoyed, and gets sad. And if it's a very bad writing, that person may go into depression just because of what you wrote. When you are writing, you may think it's fun. People may write to you emojis with smiley faces and happy faces. But at the end of it, the one you're writing about or the one you're commenting about, it could be a celebrity, it could be a normal person, it could be somebody you don't know living abroad. Remember, they are humans, just like you. They have feelings. So if you're writing something negative, it's going to hurt them, hurt their family, change their livelihood negatively. So why should you write that? Let's begin with us. Let's begin thinking about us. Let's begin being empathetic to others. If somebody told me that, how would I feel? If somebody told me I'm fat, how would I feel? But if somebody called me ugly, how would I feel? So why should I write those things to others? We should think first before we write. Always remember, it's not just a computer. It's not just you and your computer. It's the whole world reading that.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Moses, do you also have another view of how should we stop this? What should we do? to curb on this social media bullying and abusing and all the intolerance and the bitterness?
My point of view would go a bit to us who post on social media, our private lives. There is an English proverb that goes that he who pays the piper calls the tune.
Yep.
In Luganda, that is eyewe z'omumba ngo bazikuba. So when you choose to go public, be ready to contain whatever comes with it.
Yeah.
Of course, this should not deprive people of their freedom to express or to use media as they wish. But of course, we've seen socialites that have chosen to use social media. Yes, some use it for business, and others use it to scale themselves up, and at times at the expense of others. So, but those who post on social media, every other thing that happens in their lives, it is very important to keep it in mind that you've chosen to pay the piper, so you should call the tune. So you've set the bar high, so be ready to face whatever comes with it. So I think playing the victim is also something that we should be mindful of. So, and then, but again, this does not justify that we who comment and use all that kind of language should do that. But it is also important that we strike a balance. And also, we should also understand that this is a matter of perspective. It is very important to understand that the respect of otherness is very important. Your opinion is yours. Hold your opinion, and I hold mine. Do not raise your tone. Don't use abusive language to bring me to your side. Try to improve your argument. So this is actually something that we need to improve on. That it is okay to disagree, but let it be harmonious. Yeah. So actually, someone some months back used the phrase that a dead clock is at least correct twice a day, and that I actually agree with. But again, I also have my extended opinion that that statement was valid those years when clocks were only with right hour hand and minute hand. But right now we have digital clocks. And would you tell me that a digital clock would also be right? A dead digital clock would be right twice a day? No, that's my opinion. And I'll still also argue that, okay, yes, a dead clock is correct twice a day. But still, that would be true if all its parts were intact. Okay, that's an argument. I'm trying to pose an example of what happens on social media. And if someone was besides me who posed that statement would also argue. So the common ground would be, prove me wrong, and maybe I also assert my ground to keep it. So, and this is where actually people go wrong on social media. People think you should drag me in your boat. I think it is about being open-minded. And I also believe that inadequacy of knowledge, insufficient knowledge breeds insecurity. And this insecurity also lowers one's esteem. And the only option is to go verbally violent. So, and I think this also brings us to creating awareness. If you can't create awareness, make yourself knowledgeable. So some people actually argue out of gossip. So I think it is two-way. It is to you who plays the victim sometimes, and maybe it is also to me who victimizes you. So I think it is a balance that we need to strike. But otherwise, I generally believe that as a general measure to curb this kind of bad language on social media, we ought to know, like Arieta just put it, that humans are humans, regardless of your differences, regardless of whatever you may disagree upon. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know whether you have any other point before we finish this. But for me, I'll say a few words as well. And I will say that Ugandans, we as Ugandans, this is our culture, this is our country, and this is the country that we love. if you are going to, especially people on Facebook, if you'll find someone who comments a vulgar thing and abuses and has the most likes and has the most views and has the most number of people following them, is that what we want? Is that where the country is going? And you find someone who says something very meaningful and has no likes and everything. But then also we should stop doing things for likes, because you'll find people who are abusing, but naturally they are not abusive people, they are not intolerant people, but they're doing it because they want to get likes, they want to be known and everything. And also our society, to our leaders, if you're going to have people who have been abusing, who have been vulgar, on TV, on radio, on Facebook Lives and everything, and all of a sudden they're becoming a presidential advisor. How are we going to stop the ordinary people? How are we going to stop our young children from being vulgar? To the TVs, to the media platforms we have in the country, you are also doing a very big job of promoting such people, of them being famous, because they've been abusive, they've been using all kinds of languages, and you give them all the airplay, and they become famous. And lastly, to our leaders, and that says a child learns from the elder. If our leaders are going to be intolerant to the people, the police is intolerant to the people, tear gas, KCCA enforcement officers, you are creating anger in these people, and there's no way they're going to stop. You find leaders, and they're among very many people, and they're using words like idiots, like all those things. But these are our leaders. And to us, to our celebrities, some of you gain from all this. You stage some of these things, but today you're staging it, you don't know. Some of them, they will know, they'll come, people will come, and they abuse someone who they know that people will react. But they want that reaction. They want to get it. So all of them are creating the anger and the bitterness among the people. So, and to us people in diaspora, Ugandans in diaspora, people who have fake accounts, and then you start using those fake accounts and be vulgar and everything, because they will never be traced back to you. And finally, to the government, let us have laws. Let us have laws that do not curb people's freedom of speech. I'll give you an example. If someone comes and says, Tom, you should maybe wear this, and they don't abuse my eyes, and they don't abuse how big my head is, that is becoming personal. We should have laws that protect people. Those are my final words. I don't know whether, Harriet, you have any final words, or Moses. Yes, Harriet, in 30 seconds, your final words.
Can you say that again?
In your final words before we head out of the show.
Thank you all to our viewers. Thank you to all those who listened, who tuned in. As we leave, I'm asking you to practice what you've listened, to practice being empathetic, and to spread love, support those that need support, reach out to those that need support, but don't be a troll. Don't be negative on social media. Remember, it's humans you're being negative to. Be yourself, love others, spread love, and be empathetic towards others.
Thank you very much. And yes, Moses.
Yes. My humble appeal to everyone out there is that on social media, we are posed with the challenge of competition. But it's important to note that you need not to compete with anyone. Try to compete with yourself.
Yeah.
What people post on social media, actually, apart from a few honest ones, But what we see on social media is totally different from what happens in people's lives. So it's very important to set your own intermediate goals. Compete with yourself. If you have to compete with the people you physically know, if not that, at least people you have contact with. I've never met Harriet physically, I've never met you, Tom, physically, but at least I have some ground information about you. So let us have healthy and realistic competition amongst us. And then to you who post on social media, for good reason and clear intentions, you ought to be open-minded, not to mix positive criticism with negativity. So don't take the whole population for negative people when they're actually making positive criticism. So we ought to be open-minded. So, and then finally, I need to make an appeal as well that people, it is important and very important to make proper use of your internet, proper use of your data. For those who load data, that there is a lot that goes on social media. So it's well understandable that inciting statements, inciting videos, excitement and entertainment is more compelling to some people to view. But it is also, there is also a lot on social media that is about business, inspiration, a lot of knowledge on social media. So a big population in, a big portion of our population in Uganda, people live on gossip. People demand the government even things they can get on the internet. You can ask Mr. Google a series of questions. So I think we ought to make proper use of our internet than living on the blame game every now and again.
All right. Thank you very much. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you to our viewers who have been following us. And God bless you, and I wish you a nice week ahead of you. Bye-bye.